What a delight it is to jump onto another episode of Imagination TV, Imagination Labs, where we get to dig into big ideas, meet new people, and actually introduce ambassadors for global equality. And our ambassadors that we're recruiting and we're bringing into the network this year are from 5 different streams. I'll go into that a bit more, but I just want to say that I sit on Dharawal Yuin country, and that I respect the traditional owners, and I just throw out my respect to all the traditional custodians and those emerging across Indigenous lands all over the world today. So we've got a beautiful mix of viewers and guests on the show today, which we'll get to meet. Why the heck are we inviting 1,000 people, school students, university students, teachers, executives of for-profit corporations, and your general citizens into a network to connect and build a fairer world? Why are we doing that? What's the methodology? Well, we've been having some big yarns with Tyson Yucca-Porter, a bunch of other systems thinking experts, and we've basically flipped an 18-year-old mentoring program, which has worked with 25,000 marginalized young people across 350 schools, across 3 continents, and 10,000 volunteer trained mentors. We've flipped that upside down and said, look, a linear model for creating a fairer world isn't going to cut the mustard. What we feel like may lead to a different outcome is actually if we connect with unlikely intelligence. Today, the call we've got, this particular show, is a perfect example of that. So as we invite people into this network, we want to actually acknowledge what we don't know and who we don't know. And me sitting here, in just south of Sydney, as a 37-year-old relatively white male, I get to look across my screen into Canada, Philippines, Indonesia, and Melbourne and Aboriginal Australia, and I am privileged. And so this network is on show right here on this call. So how does the network actually function? We've got a training space called Imagination University. We flipped the system and said it's not good enough that some countries actually have only 2% of its people accessing tertiary education. So we founded our own university a couple of years ago with 6 key knowledge areas, and that's the training space for our ambassadors for global equality. So with no further ado, let's get into it and figure out who we've got on the call and what they're dreaming. I'm particularly fascinated by Alejandra you zoom in from Mexico, actually. I got that wrong. I said Indonesia before, but you're zooming in from Mexico, and you're a particularly passionate gymnast, rhythmic gymnast, and judging by your hoodie, you've also an extremely engaged mathematician and STEM student. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what your dreams are, mate?
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to participate and get to learn from my fellow guests. I'm from Mexico, as you said. I live in Aguascalientes, and I think that my biggest dream is to combine my passions that are rhythmic gymnastics and STEM, especially science and mathematics, to develop solutions to solve the problems that are faced the most by people from marginalized groups. And also, I think that by sharing my passions, I can inspire people and help them to achieve their purpose in life. And I'm so excited to take part of this Unlikely Connections event. Thank you so much.
Yeah, beautiful. And can I just ask you to carry this show with that energy and that smile for the next 50 minutes? And I reckon you've got some energy that that the world could use. And I reckon that you're maybe 16 years old, is that correct?
Yes, I'm 16.
Yeah. All right. So you're coming in and you're going to take us for a ride. I'm throwing over to Caleb. And Caleb, you're particularly passionate about writing and telling stories as your talent, and as you engage with Imagination University. I want to know what you're passionate about in this network.
Well, actually, yeah, thank you for having me, and hello to everyone that's like watching online. So yeah, my name is Caleb. I'm my last year of high school, 17 years old. And yeah, I'd say I'm particularly interested in writing and the STEM field also, particularly healthcare. Um, I guess I kind of got into writing by accident. I just wanted to try it in our local like club in school, and I really fell in love with it because I feel like everyone has like their own unique story, regardless of how you know rich or poor you may be. Um, and yeah, I hope to be able to like impact like a lot of people in the world because I feel like these experiences are parallel to like other people's experiences also. So yeah.
Nice one, Caleb. Well, it's great to have you in the network, and I hope you can ask some questions of the other guests as we go along. Look, we've got Abby online, and Abby has a story of her own. Can we hear a bit of your story today, Abby? Is that okay, buddy?
Yeah, of course. Yama, everyone. So Yama is hello in Gamilaroi language, and I'm a proud Gomeroi woman who grew up on Wiradjuri country, but today jumping on from Naarm, which is also known as Melbourne. I currently work at Career Trackers, which is a not-for-profit that supports young mobs. So I'm in the high school program working with young mob from years 9 to 12 into gaining an understanding of workplace experience, finishing year 12, and then exploring and navigating their next pathways through university and internships. But before jumping over to the Career Trackers team, I actually worked at the ABC in their ABC Kids team. So one of my major projects, which I think is kind of my claim to fame, is probably my greatest accomplishment, is working on Kaya. So Kaya is their full-time Indigenous doll, part of the play school team, which is a really cool project to be a part of. Obviously, growing up as an Indigenous kid and not really seeing that representation on mainstream telly, it was cool to be on the other side of things and kind of making that happen with with a team of people passionate alongside me.
Thanks so much, Abby. It's really good to have you on the show, and I'm kind of keen to see how we can build a pathway for the students you're working with to dream their biggest dreams, like Alejandra, and come into Imagination University and sort of explore those dreams and put them into practical ways and practical expressions. So maybe we can chat about that later. Yeah. Hey, how about we go over to Heschel or Heschel? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Also from the Philippines with Caleb. let us know a little bit about yourself and what you're passionate about.
Well, I'm very keen on reading and writing, but not that much now because I've been very busy with school. But one of my dreams was like to write a story that could really inspire others and educate them. And as of now, I'm working on that and exploring my options, like probably being a social worker when I grow up or whatever. But everything is like so limitless, and that's what I aim to do, just to keep going, and just nothing in particular, just that.
Cool. Maybe you'll be a famous writer, and you'll be able to put out some radical books that will change lots of lives as you jump in and dream of new possibilities. So we're going to throw over to Army. Army, you're in Canada, and you've got a particular passion that I found quite unique when I first met you. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm honored to be here, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And also for those who are watching, thank you for tuning in. My particular area of passion or dreams is that ending of social isolation and loneliness. And we can do that through friendship and community. It's not a rocket science. Sometimes I think we make things complicated, but what I really appreciate about each of your dreams is that you see the dreams and you see that you can attain, and there is no limit. That's what I love about imagination, because it really opens up many possibilities that sometimes you're not even thinking of, but discovering it's such a joy. So yeah, and I'm sure I can share a lot more as we go along.
Thanks, Ami. And just at this point, guys, we do this funny thing with thousands of students across lots of different spaces. We call it basically Keys to the City, and it is an open space for whoever feels comfortable or motivated to be able to break the ice and ask a question or do something or run the room. We can do this in a digital space also, but I'm seeing some 5 remarkably intelligent and passionate people on the line. Maybe I could just put myself on mute and you guys can go sideways and do what you like. Here we go.
I can totally get the ball rolling. So Caleb, I have a question for you. I guess thinking about the most incredible piece of writing that you've ever read or a book you've ever read, what's something that has really inspired you to start writing?
Well, I guess my favorite book. I just read it recently because my mom has been telling me to read it for the longest time already. Since it was also one of her favorite books when she was younger. It was Tuesdays with Maury, I think, with Mitch, written by Mitch Albom. It's a really short book. And I was really inspired by the book because I think there are a lot of it taught me about the realities of our life that that for in the story the professor was already close to his death, yet he was really happy and really satisfied, and he was sort of mentoring Mitch Albom as he went through his life, and Mitch Albom was super confused, I guess, and so had no sense of direction at all, and how the professor guided him through all of those stresses that he was experiencing. And I think it's sort of parallel to my life also, because I'm also trying to find my path and my journey, and sometimes I also get lost. And it was really uh, cool to see like the professor in the book like share some like wisdom that I thought I knew, and but I didn't until I read the book. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Thanks so much for sharing.
I'll go next. This one is for anybody. So you can just take a stab at it. So here's the question. Where do you get your inspiration to keep on going even when time is tough?
Can I answer that?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll go first. So my inspiration is my sister, most definitely. When she came like around 2015, when she was born, I felt like there's this sense of responsibility that I have to be with her and to watch her grow and to teach her new things. And she's like basically my own daughter at this point, but she just keeps me going and motivates me to just keep doing my best and to be a role model for her.
I love that. Hishel. I love that.
Michelle, it's I love hearing your passion, mate, and I want to dig through your story because I know you've got some stuff that you're passionate about. Abby, before we say farewell as you go off to do some other duties, I've really appreciated your energy on the call. What's your passion in your life, mate, and what do you really want to do?
Yeah, great question. I guess my overall passion is definitely equality for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in Australia. I guess the conversation is fitting, considering tomorrow is National Closing the Gap Day. I work in the education space, so I guess that's where my passion lies, and it is to support our young mob to really pursue their full potential in regards to learning and having access to education. So I grew up in regional New South Wales, and I guess what I saw was successful and achievable around me were the jobs that you see every day, right? Like it was the nurses and police officers and teachers, but I was the first in my family to finish year 12, and I didn't think that university was going to be an option for me. I didn't even know about different career pathways or degrees. So something I'm really passionate about is just making sure that our young mob understand what options are available to them and to know that they're not limited just based around their location or based around their past or anything like that, that the world is their oyster. And I know that you guys do that so well at AIM, thinking about what your dreams are and figuring out pathways on how to get there. So I really want to be a part of that notion. And I guess that's something that I'm probably most passionate about achieving.
Thanks, Abby. And to help stimulate that kind of work that you're doing, the offer would be, potentially you could do a Making of a Hoodie podcast with our founder and CEO and production team and get a couple of your kids together and get them to dream about what they'd like to do with their lives and start to put that into a piece of art and a custom made hoodie as part of a production of a podcast. So maybe we can talk offline about that and get that activated. But I've really appreciated you jumping on the call in the midst of a busy day, Abby, and looking forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And it's so nice to meet everyone. You guys I feel like you've given me energy for the day. Like I feel so motivated after meeting you all virtually. So thanks so much for having me.
Okay, as we go and try to build a fairer world by connecting with unlikely people and putting what has previously been marginalized intelligence, putting that smack bang in the center and engaging and see what the outcomes are. I'm going to leave the keys to the city on the desk again and put myself on mute.
I have a question for anybody. I would like to ask, what's like the book or I don't know what it's for you, but the thing that makes you like is that have that impact in you that make you start wanting to help people and start creating change.
Okay. Okay. So I'll go first. What inspired me to do change was definitely to see what's happening right now. There's so much lack in civil rights and so many human injustices, and that drives you insane, most likely. Every day, and you're thinking, "Oh my gosh, why is nobody doing something to this?" And that's really what keeps me going and inspired me to come here and try something to help. And yeah, that's basically it.
That's great, and I agree a lot with you.
That's a great question, Alejandra. Really good question. I think for me, it would be you look deeper into. I often look deeper into my own soul and say, there is a problem. What do I do about it? I think in any situation, there are two things that we can go about it. One is to be passive. Uh, we just stand and wait for somebody else to do it. Or we say, well, what can I do? What do I have in order to be a change? So if we want to see a change in the world, oftentimes we first look at our own and say, can I do it? And if the answer is maybe, then I go further and say, well, maybe I can do it, and who are the people in my circle that I can invite, and so that I can create a bigger impact. I am privileged to be part of the Giving Tuesday. It's an organization, a global organization. I am part of that organization, and it's a privilege for me because I get to see leaders like you guys, you, Alejandra, and Caleb, and Hishel, that are making a difference. So your act today, being part of this, you're making a difference. So yeah, thank you for that question. It's brilliant.
It
Thanks
is
for your
brilliant.
answer.
I guess
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay. I guess for me it's just similar to Ami. It's more like just like I think you just need to try it out. Like no matter how uncertain it may be, you never know, it might work out and you might like change the world, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's my mindset that if I just need to try and try and try again, and if I fail, and if I fail, then I fail and then I try again. So yeah.
It's funny, we've got particular things that we've learnt over the last 18 years and looking forward to learning more. But some of the key pillars of what we've established in this network is no shame, and try to give people a space where we dissolve shame. So to be fully yourself. Another one is failure time and embracing failure, and particularly passionate about how we're operating on this call. It's incredibly vulnerable to be able to jump in and ask a question of someone in Canada if you're a 16-year-old in Mexico, and across the borders to Philippines, and now we've just had one of our co-hosts jump in from DC, and what a wonderful space it is. And our intention is to keep failing and to keep trying and to keep having no shame, and to pick up those keys to the city that we dropped on the table earlier and keep writing the next chapter. And it's you guys with this passionate and this this intent that we hope to mobilize at Imagination University this year. So let me introduce you to a completely remarkable lady who's had such a diversity of experiences throughout her life, and I'll just introduce you to her and just get you to, I suppose, walk through your story a little bit, if you don't mind, Candice. I think you're on mute, buddy. Maybe hit the mute button there.
Thank you for that accommodation. Okay. So my name is Candice Neal. I am born and raised in the District of Columbia. I was born into an upper middle class family where I didn't understand the concept of marginalized communities and the lack of promoting the intelligence in that space. Unfortunately, I was very sheltered from that and lived a very regimented and linear kind of lifestyle. I also struggled with ADHD in school and was told constantly that I was not going to make it. I left that lifestyle because of my beliefs in justice and equity within institutions in America. And unfortunately, you lose people in that process, but you also gain other people like the individuals from IMAGI-NATION University. I am here today because I struggle with ADHD and anxiety, and I have yearned for a space where my views can be heard, and the data and support that I can provide other people with attaining their own greatness in their own space and their own happiness. If I can be a part of that, I can feel better about what my life is about.
Thanks so much, Candice. And I'm just I think there's a really wonderful little mix here. And I think what we could do is potentially throw it to Ami, Alejandra, Hishel, and Caleb. If you guys just want to throw some questions at Candice and figure out, and navigate this world of unlikely alliances right now.
I would like to ask.
Make them hard, guys. Make them hard. I like, take me down.
Yes. I would like to ask you, how does your personal experiences drive your action to change?
My personal experience is the only driving source that I have to be in this space. I did not know that there were people that were in need. I didn't know that there were people that didn't have what I didn't have, what I had. My parents kept me in such a secluded space. And I was so fortunate that I literally was disgusted with my lack of knowledge when I became 21 years old and completely separated myself from that environment so that I could make the world a better place. I was given so much, and I know how much that affected my greatness. And I do not think it's fair that just because I was born in a percentage of wealth capita, that I am able to be great, and someone else could be just as great as I am, but because of the womb that they came out of, right? But just that simple, right? They are at a disadvantage. That is not acceptable to me in any shape, way, or form. And that is what drives me, because I'm not great. He says I'm great, brilliant, this diverse. Actually, anyone with this knowledge that the powerful entities and institutions in place have to navigate them can do this. And I just want to make that very, very attainable.
Thank you so much for your answer.
No problem. Did you like it? Is it a good answer? Do you think I'm full of it? Like, tell me.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. And I appreciate your perspective, because I think like identify me with that.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you for asking me.
I did not get the first name. I'm sorry.
Sure, it's Candace.
Candice, beautiful name. Candice, I love hearing your story and you know your vulnerability too, and just being honest about and owning your story. I have a ADHD, an adult ADHD, but honestly, I don't think of it as a hindrance, but rather I own it as my strength, because it gotten me to a place where I'm at today because of what I am and who I am. I know that sometimes the world is so unkind to people with the neurodivergence. But it's also a wonderful thing when you meet people like us, who understands and you know, adding that element of being the ADHD into something more creative. And that's what I do with my organization, is finding, I get bored all the time. I don't know. I get bored all the time. And so I have this like 5 projects on the go. And people's like, I mean, we can't catch up with you. We're just finally catching up, and you're now 10 times further away, and you're running so fast, and we're trying to catch up. But that's what it's all about, being in the space where we're motivated and we are so passionate about the work that we do, and we see things differently than most people. And that is the brilliant part of you know, again, going back to having ADHD. The problem with that, I think, that I see is that we are so medicalized so much that we don't even think of it anymore as a gift. So I think we need to start thinking about this particular ADHD as a gift, as opposed to, you know, become a problematic.
May I ask what your ethnicity or descent?
Yeah, I'm Canadian Filipino, so I don't know if that
No,
I
no,
was born in I was
no.
born in the
Thank you.
Philippines.
You're racially ambiguous, right? So I would love to know. I am very much impressed by your passion about your organization. What I do want to make very transparent, though, is you know, there's a difference between you and I. You have time to work on 5 projects, and that must be amazing. And I wonder how the young lady I just talked to felt about the fact that, you know, someone has the time to do all of this because they're bored, while she is struggling to maintain, you know, her greatness and be seen and be heard in the world. I was not allowed to see my ADHD as a positive thing. That is something that was not introduced to me until I was with University. And they brought that out of me. And it took years of therapy for me to understand that positivity. And I am on medication, and it is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. So I would caution you from if trying to connect with other people, boxing yourself into saying, you know, we're over medicating, or, you know, it's talking about, you know, how this is coming out of a place of boredom. It really may not resonate with the young lady I just spoke with, because I'm sure that she would love to have a moment to be bored. But it was very, if anyone else has any other questions.
Yeah, thanks, Candace. I'm actually pretty fascinated about the whole idea of how do we center intelligence from outside the margins. I'd love to hear, as an educational expert who's been through a bunch of different degrees and studies and really zoned in on this area. Let me ask it again. How do we center intelligence from outside the margins?
So that question, right, is a spectrum of answers, because outside of the margins is a spectrum of people, and there is no one best system. Like the TIAC book that most of Western civilizations, intelligence-based learning is centered in under. It's called one base system, one best system. We have to open ourselves up to a variety of systems to attain a variety of trust and openness in other people to share their intelligence, make their intelligence worth sharing to them. Because at this moment, right, I feel, right, that I was not celebrated until I got older and I understood why my intelligence should be celebrated. So I can only imagine, and I want to go back to this young lady that I spoke to first. How do we make her feel comfortable, right? You know, telling me, hey, no, I don't think that was a good answer, right? I think, right, that the X, Y, and Z, and this is why I practice modeling those type of things as a brown American. You know, I don't agree sometimes with certain things that may be seen as positive to bring out the intelligence factor of marginalized communities. We have to open up the study of attaining the intelligence and the attainable and applied intelligence of marginalized communities. Right now, Georgetown just started a new program for applied intelligence, and it is centered around Western culture and how to best get Western culture to use their intelligence to influence the sustainability of the world. Georgetown is a major university here in the United States. They are not teaching any cultural competency. They're not going world, it's not global. It is just within the United States. We have to study, we have to ask, we have to be open, and we have to be humble to the fact that we have neglected communities for years and they don't want to talk to us.
Thanks, Candace. And what do you think, just before we sort of open it up to some of the other youngsters on the call, what's some ways that you think this network we're endeavoring to sort of build and let emerge, what do you think are some of the ways that Imagination University and this network of unlikely connections can help serve that vision of centering marginalized intelligence?
So what Imagination University is doing is the example, is the model, is the template or prototype for studying and influencing policy and how this can be done all over the world. The way that you all are setting up these interactions with different groups, different people, valuing everyone's intelligence, valuing answers that don't fit the norm, wanting things that don't go into the box, encouraging, right, answers or responses that are not okay to be said sometimes. You are the prototype of why I'm so invested in being a part of this, because you're doing it the right way. You're not doing it for a reason other than to promote equity, right, and justice within acquiring happiness. And every human deserves to be happy. And there's a level of respect that the Imagination University gives to a person. And I can speak to this, I'm about to cry, but I can only speak to this because of my personal connection with you in this space. There's a level of respect that is empowering, that takes you over when you are allowed to speak. And you're just doing it the right way.
Thanks, Candice. And, you know, it's going to be cool to see over the next 3 years how we can develop this network and continue these unlikely connections. I want to know, as we sort of round out the show, from Alejandra, Caleb, and Hishel, maybe we could figure out some ways that we can bring imagination into our classrooms and our schools. Have you guys got any ideas about how we can see imagination come to life in your education?
Well, do you mind me asking a question, Brittany? I mean,
Go for it.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to know from you all, and I really love critical feedback. I have a passion, and passion doesn't change anything. You can have a love for something, and your love for it doesn't change, but the work that you put into, right, truly trying to understand people, right, and hard work, listening and understanding and building relationships, right, with you all is how this gets better. I would love to know how I could be better, right, at this process of attaining your intelligence and wanting to give it to Imagination University. Don't all speak at once.
I think what imagination are doing, it's like really important because we need to embrace ourselves, our difference, our uniqueness, and the things that makes us like a little different from the rest. I think that's really important, and I think that this community, the way we approach other intelligences, because as you said, like every people is like a different world, and we can't feel or have lived the same things. We have whole different backgrounds, even if we live like in the same country. There are like a lot of different stories and persons we interact with, and the things that we consume, and all of that things creates a whole different person. And I think like the thing you said about respect is really important, and I think we need, like, for example, I like to think that I'm working on develop this sense of admiring the difference of the rest of the people like I interact with, because I think that's the way we can grow, because we have like different perspectives because of our backgrounds. And when we collect different perspectives, we can see like from different angles the problem, and we can achieve a better solution that fits for more people and that helps more people. And I think that's a really important thing. I don't know if I answered your question. Sorry.
No, you absolutely did. May I ask, how many languages do you speak?
2, and I'm learning German.
You said 2.5 because you're learning German?
Yes.
Yes. So is English your first language?
No, my first.
I admire your eloquence, right? And being able to express, right, what you just did in the most vulnerable space that I could ever imagine. First, these are the kind of things that those things of respect need to be noticed. You use the word, you admire others, right? That's how you have started to utilize your network capacity, right? I'm going to use that. I love that idea. I think adoration, right, is amazing. And the way that you were able to do something that most Americans can never do, to sit on a live show and speak about equity and justice and happiness, right? And give feedback, not in your first language. The respect that you deserve for that is exactly what I hope to show. And I'm glad that you think that I'm on the right track. You, in your opinion, is the most important, and every one of your opinions is the most important. And I want you to make sure you are empowered by your own greatness and why you should be respected in this space, just so you know.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, guys. Hishel, we haven't quite covered off what your particular ambition is. We received your video in from Hello World with about 500 other youngsters, and we're reviewing them through the process. But want to know what do you want to do with your ambition, with your global ambassadorship for equality?
First of all, I really want to do is to empower other people and to inspire them. I have no like career in mind, like, you know, like what job I might want, but what I really want in life, like, you know, before I die or something, is just really to empower other people. And if I can use that global ambassadorship, then for sure, yeah, that would really make me happy and would not inspire them but would inspire me as well to just keep going and to reach as many people as I can, you know, connect with them, get some new perspective, and try to solve some issues that we have been facing in the society. Yeah, that's what I want.
Thanks, mate. And yeah, so as we sort of go into the next month of Imagination University, we're working through interview phases and getting to know a lot of different people from our 5 different cohorts, school students, uni students, teachers, executives, and citizens, and hopefully mobilize you guys and respect your intelligence, as Candice was alluding to, and try to bring that to the center and see what outcomes can come with that network. So there will be an O week and some more specific engagements and communications, but you'll be followed up, all of you, after the show with a particular link and some communication. Is there any sort of passing thoughts or that you guys want to kind of land into this network before we wrap up the show for another week?
Awesome.
Yeah, I thank you, Brendan, for the opportunity. Yeah, Candice, I was actually agreeing with you earlier. So if I did not or in any shape and form have said something that didn't go very well with you, that was not my intention at all. It was to agree. Yeah,
everybody's opinion should be respected and embraced, and that's the purpose of these type of forums. It is to take in different and grapple with it, and to play with the wording, and to work on being better. If I thought that you were coming, if it was negativity, you wouldn't be here. That's not what this space is. And if I came across as that I felt that way, that's not how I felt at all. I wanted to make sure that what I was saying was very transparent in its slight difference than what you were saying, and that's okay. And that's why we're here. Brendan, back to you.
Hishel, Caleb, Candice, Ami, Alejandra, thanks so much. We'll follow up after the show with you guys, but thanks for joining us on another episode of Imagination Labs as we explore this network and sort of launch into 1,000 ambassadors coming into the network in the next couple of months. We might throw it to a very special video that we launched our global movement on, and production will cue that up for us right now. Thanks for joining us, gang.
Okay, thank you all.
Taking cloud to cure away. Every second means a mile. Every minute means a day. I hope you're walking in the sun. Hope you're going to be someone. Maybe one day, maybe today.